UBC Lunchtime News. My name is Sharon. Kyomugisha. In our top stories of the day, police has recovered 3 guns from suspected assassins of the botched murder of Works Minister General Kibihe that ended the life of his daughters and that of his driver. The guns are linked to the murder of prominent figures in the country. Details follow.
Security has put out of action another suspect involved in the shooting at General Kibihe, where his daughter and driver succumbed to a rain of bullets. Mustafa Ramalani, codenamed Amin, was at a scene leading police where the guns were hidden when he attempted to flee from the security team.
And in such situations, these are terrorists. We shall have no alternative than to put you out of action.
According to Lokech, the action to kill Amin was executed because such people are well trained and are sophisticated people to deal with.
When you are going to handle these people, you need also to be very, very careful. Others even blow themselves off. I have been in those situations myself.
At least 2 SMGs guns and 1 pistol concealed underground have been recovered by Uganda police in the ongoing operation to crack down on the criminals linked to allied democratic forces. The guns were recovered from Juma Said, a resident of Kyomugisha zone, Bukasa Parish, Namuwongo.
You remember the rider who was riding Master in a yellow jacket? The orange jacket. With a Gapco jacket is Juma side. With the helmet. We found the jacket and the helmet in the ceiling.
These are the guns that were used in the assassination of former police spokesperson Andrew Felix Kawesi and Major Chigundu Muhammad.
That it was the same cartridges that was got at Kawesi's and Kigundu. They have similar characteristics. That's how you analyze some of these things.
The installation of cameras has played a key role in the process of cracking down these criminals. Major General Lokech believes more integration of this apparatus and human intelligence will strengthen security.
Criminality gets sophisticated day in and day out. That's why we need always to be ahead of them.
Information obtained from police
We're so sorry about that technical glitch, but moving on from that, lawyers of Yusuf Nyanzi and Ismail Serubula, both suspects in the recent attempt of General Katumba Wamala's life and the murder of his daughter and driver, have filed for bail. The accused are being represented by Geoffrey Tuliamusima.
Corner, where 2 counts of attempted murder and murder were read to them. Yusuf Nyanzi was charged with 1 count of attempted murder of General Katumba Wamala, and Ismail Serubula was slapped with 2 counts of murdering Nantongo Brenda, General Katumba Wamala's daughter, and his driver Aruna Kayondo. Now, through their legal team led by counsel Geoffrey Tuliamusima, they have filed a bail application in High Court Criminal Division. In filing this application, they informed the court that it's their constitutional right to be granted bail.
The good news is that yesterday, the Deputy Inspector General Police came out and informed the public of those who committed the offense. Now that prompted us and also our clients to file the bail application today in court for the unconditional release of our clients while they are in Chitalia.
This week, the Deputy IGP Major General Paul Rokech informed the media that although Yusuf Nyanzi and Ismail Serubula are not the key suspects in this matter, they were the planners of the assassination. Rokech also disclosed that several suspects have been arrested in regard to these incidents. However, inquiries are still ongoing.
Wewao, Beiro, Chigwa, Musemateeka waffe oba Kawayiro Musemateeka waffe nti oli wa ddembe okumuwa oba okumuyimbula mbagirawo kakaluka kooti wabanga alina ebintu ebyenjawulo oba conditions zenjawulo kooti zebemusabye.
Tuliamusima also highlights on some of the grounds presented by applicants in their bail application.
We are sure of one thing, that 1, they didn't commit the offense. 2, it is their constitutional right for them to be released on bail. 3, their family men or their parents and they have families who are in the breadwinners of the same. Another important aspect is that they have their locality or their residences where they were arrested from. Now all those grounds are in our application for bail, and we are sure this Honorable Court will grant those same conditions and grant our 2 applicants or clients bail.
Following the attempted assassination of General Katumba Wamala and murder of his daughter Brenda Nantongo and driver Aruna Kayondo, police has so far confirmed the arrest of 6 suspects, including Sulaiman Kisambira, Mustafa Kawa Ramadhan, Muhammad Kagugube, Serwadde Juma, Walusimbi Kamada, Yusuf Nyanzi, Sulaiman Serubula. Although Hussein Wahaburubama was killed during arrest, General Katumba Wamala was shot at on 1st June this year. Although he survived, his driver and daughter died on the spot. Deborah Namamonde, Nantongo Rebecca, UBC News.
Thank you so much, Deborah Namamonde, for the updates. Now, in more stories, Prime Minister Robina Nabanja has encouraged corporate entities in the country to complement government's efforts to stop the spread of COVID-19. Nabanja's remarks followed a generous contribution of 530 million Ugandan shillings towards procurement of 15,000 vaccine doses by Kampala businessman Hamchi Gundu.
A renowned Kampala businessman Hamis Chegundu is concerned that government is battling COVID-19 pandemic without much support from the private sector. This is a trend that he seeks to change through setting this precedence of a 530 million shilling donation to the National COVID-19 Task Force.
Money has no use to the dead, and COVID is not discriminating. It can take anyone down, let it be a poor person or a rich person. There is no use of money if it can't be brought forward to save lives. I call upon all these companies, big companies, to come and join hands towards this justified cause of saving lives, to see that we fight COVID-19.
Prime Minister Robina Nabanja received the cash meant to procure COVID-19 vaccines for about 15,000 patients.
5,000 doses towards my employees and tenants, and the other 10,000 doses to go out to my other fellow Ugandans.
Once the funds are received, we have a process in which they will be taken to that special account where they are placed, and from that, then the rightful processes are done for the procurement of what is meant to be procured.
Nabanja describes the gesture as worthwhile and timely.
5,000 for his companies, the employees of his companies, and 10,000 for other Ugandans. It's a big gesture. You have really shown other people that in Uganda we have people with a big heart.
The invasion of COVID-19 in Uganda in March 2020 was later punctuated by relief aid from the high and the low plus organizations. The public has always been inquisitive on how such donations were put to use, an explanation that has been provided.
The committee raised 68 billion shillings. Out of the 68 billion shillings, 38 billion was in kind. And whatever was given in kind, motor vehicles, food, and the like, was given out to the public, and the vehicles were given to the Minister of Health as the Parliament Ministry.
COVID-19 remains a force to reckon with, a reason Ugandans need to continuously embrace measures against the virus to protect the country against the pandemic. Henry Okurut, UBC.
Now, members of Parliament on the COVID-19 task force have grilled the Minister of Finance, Kyomugisha, and officials on national medical stores over delayed procurement of the COVID-19 vaccines. Kyomugisha shocked the committee when he pleaded ignorant of 18.5 billion Ugandan shillings which was released to the Ministry of Health recently to procure COVID-19 vaccines. The committee discovered that NMS is sitting on PPEs in stores as health facilities choke in shortage.
COVID-19 task force, which was established to monitor government response to COVID-19 pandemic, has interfaced with the Minister of Finance, Kyomugisha, and officials of national medical stores led by the General Manager, Moses Kamambari. The committee discovered gross miscoordination between the Minister of Health and national medical stores, including bureaucratic tendencies that have contributed to the delayed purchase of the COVID-19 vaccines.
Last time we appropriated money for vaccine, didn't we?
Yes.
You gave that money to who?
I think we must. I can't know. I don't remember the real details. But if the request came under Ministry of Health, the money will go to Ministry of Health.
In the current financial year, Parliament appropriated 560 billion shillings for purchase of COVID-19 vaccines, but MPs were shocked to find out that only 80 billion shillings was allocated to the national medical stores to procure vaccines.
That is an appropriation which was the allocation which they made. We have not received the actual money. One is that finance releases money in quarters. So probably they may not release all of it in quarter one. But that is the money they have given as an indication that it was appropriated.
I think that clarifies
for the new the burden should not be put on finance. They should sort out themselves. They have a sector. They know how to handle things. Then my job is to make money available to whoever asks for that money.
Lawmakers put to task the Minister of Finance, Kyomugisha, to account for the 18.5 billion shillings which was appropriated through a supplementary budget for purchase of AstraZeneca vaccines earlier this year, but Kyomugisha pleaded ignorant.
Who is still holding the money? Has the Minister of Finance even taken that money back, or that money has been deposited for the vaccine?
So I can't be able now stand here, but as I said, I will check with the Treasury. I will check which money was given to Minister of Health to buy vaccines.
The committee was seemingly irked to discover that NMS is keeping a huge stock of personal protective equipment in its warehouses, Yet health centers are choking with shortage of PPEs.
All the PPEs that we have in NMS, the ones that are related to COVID response, are owned by Ministry of Health. So we are warehousing and distributing upon their instructions.
The General Manager
Yes.
of National Medical Stores, Moses Kamabare, notified the committee how difficult it will be for Uganda to get vaccines because India is not willing to sell to Uganda now. Yet other vaccines on the market are too expensive to afford.
Just as an example, the information available for the vaccine from China, a dose is between $35 to $40 per dose, compared to the one, the AstraZeneca of India, which was at $4. So for each dose of the Indian version, you would have to get 10. Rather, for each 10 of the Indian, you would have to get 1.
The task force will meet the Minister of Health and Minister of Finance on Wednesday next week to dig deeper into COVID-19 interventions. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gwitabinji, UBC News.
By law.
Well, that was Finance Minister Matia Kasaijo, oblivious of 18.5 billion Ugandan shillings that was sent out to procure COVID-19 vaccines. In more stories, the Ministry of Health has said dynamics surrounding the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic needs a concerted effort by all, including members of the public, who should avoid self-medication and excessive use of traditional medicines. The most recent report indicates that Uganda has registered over 1,800 deaths, mainly in the second wave. The Minister for Health, Dr. Ruth Echeng, wants Ugandans to maintain their guard in the fight against coronavirus.
Ever since the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic cornered communities, statistics of new infections and fatalities have been skyrocketing, enveloping the country with necessary fear and grief on a daily basis. Minister of Health says so far about 1,873 lives have been lost to the pandemic since the outbreak, though majority of these are as a result of the second wave.
The harmonized death count currently stands at 1,873 deaths, bringing the case fatality rate to 2.3%. Of these deaths, 1,127 were PCR confirmed, while another 746 are deaths confirmed clinically as probably due to COVID-19. And so our statistics will now be capturing the numbers, including the probable deaths.
Ugandans are reportedly resorting to the use of both scientific and traditional concoctions to shield themselves and their loved ones against the virus. Even as this has to some extent yielded promising results, Dr. General Kibihe warns the populace against unregulated use of these remedies.
I'll bring to light some of the drugs and the side effects. And we'll start with paracetamol or acetaminophen, also known as Panadol. This is indicated for high temperatures or fever. It should be avoided in patients with liver disease as it can worsen the damage to the liver. Therefore, it should be taken on prescription. The second is the vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc. Many of you will note that vitamin C has fallen out of our prescription list, and therefore we will not talk about it. The rest, vitamin A, vitamin D, and zinc, support the body to build immunity to fight COVID-19. Taking too much of these can cause nausea, diarrhea, and stomach cramps. That COVID-19 patients with blood oxygen levels below 92% should report to hospitals for assessment and further management. Unregulated use of oxygen may cause damage to our lungs, so avoid it.
Meanwhile, health experts have explained why people who have just recovered from coronavirus should wait to take their second vaccines even as they are due.
After 90 days from the COVID infection to get a second dose. Yes, you have to get a second dose. But because you still have antibodies from your first infection, the take of the vaccine immediately, if you take it immediately, may not be as strong. It may not give you as strong a reaction as when you wait several days or several weeks before you take a second dose. But you still need to have a second dose in order to be fully really covered. And the reason why you need a second dose is because the infection you have got, we are not too sure it has stimulated the body enough to give you a good boost of antibodies to protect you moving forward.
Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Some questions answered right there by the Minister of Health. We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with more stories in business.
Man, guess what happened yesterday? Guy entered the what? The taxi. But the pregnancy is from the what? The generator. Then my phone does toot-toot. And the toothbrush breaks in the what? In the porridge. Then I call who?
Wait, what?
First wait. I am still telling you. Then the jerrycan does what?
Love to talk? MTN My Paka Paka now has more minutes. Get My Paka Paka voice bundles to talk and talk at no extra charge. Dial *160*1# to activate My Paka Paka.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co-Uganda, Office of the President.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. In our business stories, a number of tourists have been left stranded due to transport diversion following the commencement of the construction of Katunguru Bridge. Now, transport that has been diverted to the use of the ferries has left many tourists complaining over delays.
In March this year, Uganda National Roads Authority announced plans to renovate Katunguru Bridge. Now construction works have commenced and road users asked to cross on ferry. Hundreds of travelers from Kasese and Rubirizi district were stranded at Kazinga Channel as they waited for the ferry. The renovation of Katunguru Bridge has slowed down movement across Katunguru area. That include travelers heading to Rubirizi and Kasese, a bulk of whom are tourists.
Tubadde tusaba government bwe kiba kisoboka
nga waliwo feri endala gye basobola okuleeta nereeta nga bakonsideringa abalambuzi okubawa first priority kubanga bo babeera ku biseera.
You know, one ferry seems not to be that efficient, you know. Two would be more efficient, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Just to go back and forth, back and forth.
Bashir Ibrahim, a tour guide at Queen Elizabeth Conservation Area, says the delays are likely to affect the tourism business in the area.
Tubadde tuvokola activity obudde butukutte tubadde tulina okuba ku lodge then olweggulo tufune activity endala gye tukola.
Nonetheless, Solomon Ahimbisiwe says the report on traffic diversion was published earlier.
I think the government, UNRWA, has really tried to put an alternative way. We couldn't cross the bridge earlier on. There have been notices before a month ago that the bridge would be closed, but what if you have an ambulance, some emergency cases? But I'm very happy that the ferry is running.
Kasese and Rubirizi RDCs have, however, pledged to harmonize the situation to ease inter-district movement.
We want to sit as a team and technically see how best we can handle this, but I strongly believe that these already vehicles which are come across or come to cross here already cleared.
Construction of Katunguru Bridge is expected to take 3 months from now at the cost of 898 million.
Hundreds of deaths in Canada and the US are being blamed on a historic heat wave brawling the West. About 100 deaths have been confirmed so far in the western US, while in British Columbia and Canada, nearly 500 sudden deaths have been reported. Officials believe that the fatalities are likely linked to the extreme weather. Details follow.
Service office in Spokane, Washington, meteorologist Stephen Van Horn finds out the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius above the historical average. For Americans, that's nearly 32 degrees Fahrenheit higher.
Very hot, yeah, this is very hot, especially for this time of year. Pretty much like a jacuzzi, yeah.
And if you're looking to find out how hot it gets inside cars in this area, Van Horn's got that covered too. He's got measuring devices inside, 142.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 61.3 degrees Celsius.
Kind of think of it almost like a piston pushing down, and so you have higher pressure, which also increases the temperatures, and so it's just this bubble or dome right over the northwest.
This weather balloon helps provide even more accurate readings on wind speed, moisture, and temperature.
So it's been showing a dry atmosphere, very dry actually.
Van Horn says the hot conditions are pushing the limits of the region's infrastructure.
The road surfaces themselves are buckling because of the heat. People who do have air conditioners are running just nonstop to try and cool down the homes. And so that is taxing the electrical grid. And so we are seeing rolling blackouts.
The city of Spokane opened cooling centers for residents, but for many, the best relief was soaking themselves at park fountains.
We got fans going, and then we put our ice water bottles in front of them.
There's really nowhere else to get out of the heat at, so.
Hydrated.
Hydrated, yeah.
Exceptionally warm, the warmest we've ever had, and the extension of the time, the number of days in a row, is really unusual for us as well. Unfortunately, this is exactly what the climate models have been predicting would happen. It's just here a lot earlier than we had expected.
Henning believes climate change is worsening the severity and duration of the heat wave. He also says the negative effects are distributed unevenly.
The people who are most vulnerable, people who have fewer means, and people of color are disproportionately affected. So residents who have central air conditioning and can keep their homes cold, we can just hunker down. People who have to work outside, agricultural workers who pick the cherries that are ripening right now, don't have that luxury to work indoors. Maybe they're a renter they don't have central air conditioning.
For some, the best solution for cooling down was going to an air-conditioned mall and getting ice cream.
All the stores are sold out of ice cream right now too, which is crazy. If you go to like Safeway or anything around here, there's no ice cream left. So apparently we all have the same idea here.
Well, that's all we had for you during the UBC lunchtime bulletin. My name is Sharon. Have a good afternoon and stay tuned for more programming coming your way.
Death announcement. The family of Mr. Francis Musuba announces the death of